Keith, they say that time flies when you're having fun, and hard to believe, but it's 2 years since you arrived at the club. You arrived at the club when the league position wasn't great, the club was struggling, and that's not the first time you've arrived at the club in those circumstances. So what did you find on the day you arrived?
Again, I think I inherited a group of players that at the time needed myself. They needed direction, they needed leadership, and we had some good players, but they were underperforming. And again, I think it was a case of taking over. It's always difficult when you're taking over from the previous regime, because I do work slightly differently to other managers, other coaches. And again, very quickly you have to go in and you have to stamp your not so much stamp your authority. You have to implement your ways and your culture that you want to try and create. And again, I've got to say, right from day one, the players accepted the changes, accepted the challenges, and got on board, which is. That's always the first start when you're going in as a manager, new coach, walk in, you get an opportunity to make your first impression, and it has to be a good one. And again, I think we had a challenge. We were playing Bury. I think it was our first game. We were flying at the time, and I think our club at the time weren't on a good run. And again, we needed to halt that, and we need to draw a line in the sand and say, well, this was going to be the start of us rebuilding. And again, I think the performance on the day, I think we drew 0-0 with Bury, and I think we had two opportunities, 1v1 with their goalkeeper and a couple of other half chances that we could have won that game as well. And again, but I think it was definitely from the first day, the first game, the first appearance from the players. Was the first line drawn in the sand that said this is a start, and again I think that was a pleasing response from my first day in.
Just working through things in date order, and there have been lots of highs which I'm sure we'll come to, but the first high wasn't too long in coming. I remember a home game against Forest Green a couple of weeks after you arrived, and a late winner from Andy Williams. Scenes of real passion and emotion from the supporters on the pitch at the end.
I can still remember it now, and it's that was probably one of the things that stands out, that you think when you stood on the sideline and you see that unity from the stand, from the supporters, from the players, that togetherness, that gives you an indication there's something to build on. And again, creating those nights, creating that environment, creating that culture within inside the stadium, and everybody plays a part in that, and that's just not the players and the supporters. There's the workforce behind the scenes that are all part and parcel of us being able to go out and perform and do our job basically. And again, but I think there's a level of appreciation not only from myself but from my coaching staff, that we know the work that goes on because we've been at other football clubs. And sometimes the job of a manager and a football coach or a coach can be made slightly more difficult if your focus isn't always on the changing room and the players you've got in the changing room. If you're having to deal with outside influences or distractions outside where people may not be in line or in tune with the direction that the first team want to go in. And again, I've got to say, one of the pleasing things is at this football club there's a good bounce, and people are all bouncing at the same time. There's no hidden agendas, there's good lines of communication, and there's a good honesty and a good transparency about the football club, which that aids you for if you're going to go and face challenges. There's nothing better than knowing that everybody's facing the same challenges on the same page.
From being 20th in League Two at the end of September when you arrived, results did pick up, but then we got to January and that was your first transfer window, your first opportunity to exercise good housekeeping, as you like to say. A couple of players moved on and some players came in, but that was your first opportunity to put your mark on the squad.
Yeah, again, I think first off, you go into a football club and there's got to be transparency, and there's got to be an identity, and there's got to be a willingness for the owners, the stakeholders, the people that run the football club. They've got to be able to identify to the manager where that football club is on all levels. And sometimes it's a difficult conversation that owners don't want to have with managers, because realisation is that things needed to change. Financially, we were not unsustainable, but we weren't getting value for money. It was a case of, look, we need to readdress this, and we need to make sure that we've got a financial structure in place that the club are happy to work with, that I'm happy to work with, that sees us can be successful and show good housekeeping, which means we need to get value for money. And I think I've touched on it before in a previous interview. a lot of the clubs that I've worked at, part of their business plan is about cost and savings. And what I've always said to the stakeholders at the football club is we need to add value into that equation to bring success. We will get cost and savings. We will get value for money. We do need to make if we can make savings, we make savings. But within it, at times we've got to identify value, which means sometimes you need to speculate to accumulate and be prepared to back the manager and back his views on we can bring this player because he's going to add value. Might be short term, might be long term value.
That first season ended with a comfortable mid-table position, which certainly wasn't a guarantee given the position the club was in when you arrived. But for a time during March, it looked like there might be an outside chance of a late run to the playoffs. I remember a home win against Newport, a late goal from Joe Powell, and that really seemed to lift the momentum. But in the end, that first season ended in comfortable mid-table.
Yeah, which is something that I thought that was. I think that still seems. I think for the financial outlay and the quality that was in that changing room, finishing mid-table was underachieving. Because we had some good players, whether that was a culture, whether that was the environment, whether it was previous regimes, it culminated in my opinion, the club for what they were paying significantly underachieving, and that needed to change. Because if you do that year in year out, the football club doesn't benefit. So there had to be changes. There needed to be a change in culture. There needed to be a change of environment. Internally, and we needed to put down different structures, different platforms that would make us more sustainable and more competitive. And again, I think we've done that. We're still very competitive, even now in the division above, which is pleasing. Yeah, we're not the highest paid. We don't pay the most money, but we've got good incentives in place whereby players are performing, and we're, as a football club, we're operating in the areas that we think shows overachievement. Then that's where the value is for the players. So we need to get into the top half of the table, and there's financial incentives that are in place for the players so they can earn that money. Again, that's the challenge for the players now. Yeah, we give you an average wage, but there's good incentives, and again, you get that hunger then in that changing room, whereby you don't just get appearance money just for turning up. You get your appearance money when you win, and again, I think that's something that will filter more so into football, whereby more about performance and reward.
The upward curve continued into the second season. So much to talk about from last season. So many highs. Obviously, the promotion that night at Wembley, the FA Cup run, the club's best run for 16 years, and some fantastic wins along the way. What in particular stands out in your mind from last season?
Oh, like I said, I think there's been so many positives and so many boxes being ticked, but ultimately, and it's probably more so because it's on a personal level, the second leg at Cheltenham was winning that second leg, earning the right to go to Wembley, but there was a belief within the football environment at the football club, and that's everybody, and that's not just a changing room. That's everybody, supporters, staff, everybody that's affiliated to the football club. That's part and parcel of us being representative of the football club. But that win was massive. Because nobody fancied us. You talk to people now in football and they saw the first leg and say, yeah, we did okay in the first leg, but they thought the 2-0 lead was insurpassable, that we weren't going to be able to do that because everything was stacked against us. And again, I don't think anybody, before that whistle was blown to start the game, I don't think there's anybody in that represents Northampton thought that it was a foregone conclusion that we were just going to turn up there, and I think that shows a character within inside the football club that yeah, that's a challenge. We'll accept it.
Just beyond the results as well, you've proved yourself a big supporter of the club's academy and football and education programmes. Well over 100 appearances for homegrown players. That must be something as a manager that gives you great pride to be able to give such opportunities, earned opportunities to the young players. Yeah,
definitely. It's something that. Throughout my managerial and coaching career, I've always had one eye on the youth. I remember in my first job, Alex John Baptiste, I think he was a 16-year-old lad still at school. He made his debut for Mansfield. When we went to Crystal Palace later on in my coaching, when I went to Crystal Palace as an assistant manager with Neil Warnock, we promoted the players, Nathaniel Klein, Victor Moses, John Bostock, all young players that had ability that we needed to progress quickly. And again, so again, it's probably, I wouldn't say it's a negative. It's probably something that I think that we can improve on, is the connection even more so between the first team environment and the youth team environment. We train on different sites, which means that we don't get that contact time. But lines of communication between myself, John Brady and Samson, we have the conversations, but I'd like more contact time, more time with myself being able, and my coaches being able to go and observe some of the sessions, take some of the sessions, and to be able to give feedback and create that environment whereby all academy coaches have access to first team coaches, whereby they can ask questions about football related questions, whereby and that helps the development, helps the growth, and helps the infrastructure and the culture of what we're trying to create. You walk into this football club as a 14-15-year-old, your aim is to get in that first team, and how quickly you can do it, that means that there's a direct pathway.
And just to finish on a couple of other things over the last 2 years now, I know you take the role of a manager very seriously, not just around the first team, but as a figurehead for the club. You were at Carlisle during those awful floods a few years ago, and during the COVID-19 outbreak and the lockdown during March, April, the way that you and the players and the staff helped reach out to supporters who were isolating, that must have had a big impact on you, but it certainly had a big impact on the community.
Yeah, I think probably my awareness of my role within the organisation is something that I take very seriously. And again, but it's something that's filtered down from myself through my staff into the players. The players are very much accountable, and they're representative not only of themselves but of me and of the football club. And it's something that in the meetings that we have, or I have with the players when I bring them to the football club, is they're accountable. They're accountable to me. They're accountable to the football club. They're accountable for their supporters in everything that they do. Now, whether that be a Zoom meeting or a Zoom meeting with a support, or whether it be a personal appearance, they're representing themselves, they're representing me, and they're representing the football club. And again, I've got to say, the players have taken that on board. They want that interaction. They want to be seen as somebody that cares about the football club. They're not just here to pick up their wages. They're here to improve the football club, improve themselves, and make this not a stop off, but make this a destination that they want, that they can see their career thrive.
And just finally, Keith, I know you'll be the first to say it's a team effort, but 3 other men that have been with you for these 2 years, Simon Tracy, Colin West and Dan Watson, how much of a support have they been?
To be honest, I think they can do more. No, they're fantastic colleagues, fantastic friends, good people. They've got good principles, good morals. They're honest, hard-working. And probably the biggest thing is their willingness to voice their opinion to myself, that's a challenging environment that I'll make mistakes, I'll make decisions. Usually they've told me beforehand potential what the risks are, but I don't mind that. I like that. I don't want yes men around me. I don't want people that just will advocate what I say and say, oh yeah, you're right, boss. They're not like that. They question and they test me, which is what I like. Then that's the environment I want to work in. I don't want to be the best coach in the room, because I think if you're the best coach in your room, you're in the wrong room. You want to surround yourself with people that are striving and got aspirations to improve and develop, which means that the work that we do on the analysis of the opposition and everything like that, it's all purely down to their work and what they see, and then together we culminate a plan. And again, I think that teamwork is about, it's not me driving everything, it's about them having that ownership. This is their role, this is their opportunity for them to develop as well. They all want to go and manage and coach in the championship, not so much manage, they want to coach in the championship, in the Premier League, and they're on board. Again, they take their role very, very seriously, because this is a great opportunity.
Well, Keith, congratulations on your 2 years. Thank you for everything you've done so far for the club, and here's to many more happy times moving forward.
Super. Cheers, chaps.